So Mauricio Pochettino versus Erik ten Hag. Who would be a better fit for the Manchester United manager's job in the summer? Now, this is quite a difficult question to answer, so I think we have to break it down in terms of what both their sort of managerial styles are, what their tactics are, and what they would bring to the role, what the potential drawbacks would be. We'll go for Pochettino first. We'll look at him in terms of what he brings to the table when he goes to a team normally. So I think the first advantage that you'd have to give him over Ten Hag is that he's managed in the Premier League before. So he's a bit more familiar with sort of the physicality of it and what you're actually up against. Not that this is always a disadvantage. You've seen Thomas Tuchel come into the Premier League and do really, really well. So I'm not necessarily saying that new managers can't come into the Premier League and hit the ground running. I think that absolutely can happen. But Mauricio Pochettino, he's proven to have already done it with a squad that ultimately was good, but didn't have very much money for improvement. So if we look at Pochettino's style, I mean, he's sort of the quintessential modern manager in a lot of ways. He's not specific in his style of play in the way that Guardiola and Klopp are. He does have certain principles that you will always see his team stick to. Like, you always have the attacking fullbacks, you always have the fullbacks very high up the pitch, and you always have quite a high press. This actually allows the centre-backs to be a little bit wider and allows them to contribute into the attack. He likes inverted wingers, and having the attacking fullbacks also allows the inverted wingers to get closer to the main striker, because he will normally play with a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, which are the two most common formations in world football at the moment. So what I mean by inverted, in case anyone didn't know, is that Pochettino will nearly always have wingers where they're basically on their wrong foot. So he'll have a left-footed winger on the right side and then a right-footed winger on the left side, so that they're essentially cutting in order to shoot. Now, this is quite commonplace, but it'd be interesting to see at Manchester United, because you've currently got Jadon Sancho, who most people believe his best position is on the right, despite the fact that he can play on the left as well. But we don't actually have a left-footed right winger unless you sort of consider Juan Mata in that role. Juan Mata isn't someone who's going to fit for either of these managers. He's not going to be a good fit either way. So it'd be interesting to see how that works out for Pochettino. So Pochettino is very much the fullback supply the width. Everyone else kind of gets inside. More often than not, he plays a 4-2-3-1. So he'll have two midfielders that are sort of dictating the play, and then he'll have a number 10 that looks to link up with the number 9 and then the two wingers. At PSG, it's been a little bit different. He's played a 4-3-3. And the reason for this is just the players that they've got. They've got Messi, Di Maria. You know, you need to play an attacking formation, and you can't really afford, when you've got that many attacking players, you can't afford a double pivot. So I think that's why he's gone with that. From his time at Tottenham, it leads me to believe that a double pivot is Pochettino's preferred formation. It just allows him two players that can then dictate the play. One will more likely be sort of a playmaker, so in Man United's case that would be Pogba. And then I believe Pochettino would look to sign a very physical midfielder to play next to Pogba. To be honest, that's what Pogba, when he's been successful, has always had anyway. So I think any manager, if they're looking to make Pogba the centrepiece of their team, they should be getting that physical, fast midfielder to play alongside him in a double pivot. That has been when he's at his best. For both France and Juventus, he's had a physical, fast midfielder alongside him. For Juventus, it was Vidal, with Pirlo just behind them. And then for France, it's been Kante and Matuidi at different times. So Pochettino at Manchester United, what are the cons of it? I mean, you can put this down to Tottenham. It's difficult to know if this is directly Pochettino's fault. Obviously, at the end, it all fell apart. Now, this is quite a common thing in modern management. When you manage a team who hasn't got the money to improve, and then they have an amazing season, but they don't quite get to where they want. Like, for example, they got to the Champions League final. They had a pretty good year in the league. They weren't anywhere near the title, but they qualified for the Champions League, got into the Champions League final, and then lost to Liverpool at the last moment. And after that, they were completely demoralised. And that's not uncommon, because in the summer, if that was Manchester United or Liverpool or Man City or even Chelsea in that situation, those teams can go, okay, we've got this far. What can we do to improve our squad so that this doesn't happen again? However, in Pochettino's case, he simply didn't have that backing from the board. And Tottenham didn't have the finances. They bought a new stadium, which they were still paying off. So all their finances were going towards that. So he did not have any money to improve that squad. So you can see that as a potential negative of Pochettino, that he never quite won a trophy at Spurs and that it all capitulated soon after. But I think that was largely not just him. I think that was everyone at the club. I think the club's owners were probably demoralised. I think the players were demoralised because you had players like Harry Kane and Son who realised this might have been my best chance to win a trophy. It didn't happen. And then obviously the squad was quite ageing. Since Pochettino got to Tottenham, it's still not really improved. It's not really changed. So in terms of Pochettino's tactics then, he largely likes to keep possession. He is a possession-based, he likes possession-based football, however, he will prioritise quick passing. He's not someone that's just going to bore you to tears with possession. Like Pochettino's passing is very much the way he likes his team to play. It's very much penetrate the back line, try and get in behind. You know, I mean, a lot of the time he'll have a centre forward, like with Harry Kane. This might just be because of the type of players that he had. But he had Harry Kane, who was obviously laying the ball on for Son and then for Lucas Moura and Lamella and those sorts of players. So I do believe that he'd be a good fit for Manchester United in the way that we've got wide players that want to get close to the forwards and want to score goals. And in the counter, he likes to press a lot. So Pochettino, like most modern managers, is someone who very much prioritises the transition. Win the ball back high at the pitch, and then you can attack the opponent's goal straight away. I don't think there's many cons to Manchester United getting Pochettino. So other than his sort of lack of trophy experience and the fact that they've under him, Tottenham managed to bottle both the Champions League and the league, because they really should have won it. The year that Leicester won it, Tottenham will always believe they should have won the title that year. So he has bottled 2 trophies. Well, 2 trophies were bottled under his management. It's up to you if you think that was his fault or not. So those are sort of the 2 cons, but he is a proven Premier League manager. And Pochettino, don't get me wrong, I would love to see Erik ten Hag at Man United, but Pochettino is the more solid choice here. We know what we're getting with him. So that's my verdict on Pochettino. I think he's in some ways the safer option. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Erik ten Hag. So Ten Hag is slightly different to Pochettino. He's similar in the way that he prefers pressing and he prefers to keep the ball. The way that they play is slightly different in the way that he nearly always has one wide player who wants to keep the width. And then he'll have another wide player that looks to almost get inside and be a second number 9. And I think this actually suits Man United quite well, because if you look at what he did with Ajax, he obviously had Tagliafico, who was a very attacking fullback. So then he put David Neres on the left wing, who liked to get close to Tadic or Huntelaar, whoever was playing up front at the time. And then on the right, he had Hakim Ziyech, who wanted to sort of keep width, or Anthony, or one of those type of players that wanted to really keep the width. And then this season, we're seeing it the other way round. And the reason why that is because he's now got Daley Blind playing at left back rather than centre back. What it actually means is he's adapting to the players that he's got. And if you look at Manchester United, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is still widely regarded as one of the best tackling fullbacks in England. However, going forward, he's not that good. With Erik ten Hag's tendencies and what he would like to do, I can kind of see him having Sancho as someone who keeps the width, rather than Pochettino where your wingers both get close to the forward. I think Ten Hag is more likely to have one winger who stays very much to the byline. And I think in this situation that would be Jadon Sancho. So Jadon Sancho would be on the right, be looking to create chances near the byline and get through balls in. Wan-Bissaka would play a largely supporting role in attack. However, on the other side, whether it's Shaw or Telles, I think we'd see a very, very attacking fullback with Rashford or Elanga or Martial or whoever their left winger ends up being, getting a lot closer to whoever our number 9 is. We don't know who a lot of these positions are going to be next season yet, because everything is just very up in the air. But I do believe that that's what he'll do. I think Sancho is going to be on the right near that byline, with Wan-Bissaka playing sort of more of a defensive fullback role, seen more in the old times. And then you'll have a very, very attacking left fullback on the other side that will enable the left winger to get close to the striker. So because he's not completely reliant on fullback width, he's not pushing those wingers right inside to get really close to the forward, that then means it gives the centre midfielders more licence to push forward. And I do think this will be good for the likes of Bruno and Pogba / Van der Beek, because I do believe here's another positive for Ten Hag. He will play Van der Beek. Like, I think if we're going to get Ten Hag, I think he convinces Van der Beek to stay, and I think he starts making him a part of our starting 11 every week, like he should be. And I also think he could do the same thing with Martial. Now hear me out, I know Ten Hag's never managed Martial. It's not the same situation as Donny van der Beek. However, they've both gone out on loan, but they're both the type of player that Ten Hag likes. If you look at Dusan Tadic, the type of player that he is, how he was playing in the Champions League, he's not really a traditional number 9. And I don't think a lot of people don't see Anthony Martial as that sort of traditional number 9. Not that he needs to be, because he's got great goal scoring ability, but he could do very much the role that Tadic does, and I believe more. Like, Tadic really did well to link the play up. He switched positions with other players fluently. Martial can do all of that, and Martial will get more goals than Tadic. So I actually think that Martial will be someone who's a good fit in Ten Hag's team, and also can probably learn to press from the front, is coachable enough to press from the front. Now, I know all you haters are going to say that Martial doesn't work hard and this, that and the other, but I did a video the other day specifically explaining that that's not the case. I think Martial works smart, not hard necessarily. I think there has been times where he could have pressed more, but I also think it's a lack of coaching. Because pressing is about coaching. There's no point in one number 9 running up against 2 centre-backs and there's no players around him. There is no point in wasting the energy on that. Whereas if you've got 3 or 4 players all pressing the back line, completely different story. And with Ten Hag, this would be the case. And it's the same thing with Pochettino, although I don't think Pochettino would keep Martial. I think Pochettino let Martial go and try and bring Harry Kane with him to Man United, which I don't like, by the way. Ten Hag then, in terms of his pros, again, very, very attractive football. Both these managers, very, very attractive football. Good pressing, dominant possession. I mentioned in the video the other day about a pressing-centric style. Both these managers have that. So it's kind of pick whichever one you think is better. Now, I think that Pochettino is more likely to have a more immediate impact because he's managed in the Premier League before. He knows what he's getting himself in for. We know what he's bringing to us. Ten Hag's a little bit different because he's always managed Ajax. Obviously, he had Utrecht before, but he's managed Ajax for a long time now in the Dutch league. So we don't know how he's necessarily going to adapt to the Premier League. But I'm quite certain that Ten Hag, given a couple of years, would make a real success of a Man United rebuild job. He'd get us a left-footed centre-back to play alongside Varane, much like Daley Blind, that sort of player. Just a ball-playing, no-nonsense centre-back. He would bring Van der Beek and Martial back into the fold. And I think, I always talk about this United team having a lot of mavericks. And we do have a lot of mavericks. You've got Rashford, you've got Bruno, you've got Pogba, you've got Ronaldo. Those are 4 mavericks that nearly always have started this season. I know Rashford's not been starting in recent weeks because Alanga's been preferred, or Rashford was injured for some of that time. It doesn't change what I'm saying. You've got to have a balance in there. Donny van der Beek and Martial are 2 players that will link the play really well, that can also make really vital contributions in attack. All these Hollywood passes that Bruno plays, or the goals that Ronaldo scores, or whatever, they happen once a game. Martial and Van der Beek can play incisive passes 2 or 3 times a game. Or in Martial's case, he can go on an incisive run 2 or 3 times a game. So that's already quite a big difference. With those 2 in the team, I truly believe we can start building towards greatness. The defence really needs to tighten up, and I think either of these 2 managers are going to see that. I think Ralf Rangnick sees that. I think Solskjaer probably saw that. I think anyone who's managing this club sees that. We need a defensive midfielder. We probably need a whole set of defenders, because Varane sucks at the moment. Maguire sucks. I don't think that's a good pairing to start with. I think we should try pairing Varane with somebody else. Ten Hag's case, if we can't sign anyone, he'll start with Varane and Lindelof, because he's more of that sort of ball-playing defender that Ten Hag will like. However, with Pochettino, I think Maguire will probably keep playing. Anyway, guys, that's the pros and cons. I personally, due to my love for Martial and Donny van der Beek and what I think they can do for the team, and also my love for more variable tactics, I would like Erik ten Hag to be the manager of Manchester United next year. But I wouldn't be complaining. I wouldn't be up in arms if it was Pochettino. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. As always, smash a like on the video. Please subscribe to the channel. My Patreon is in the link in the description also. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.